You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. My name is Phil Better, and I am the Podcast Mogul. I'm excited for you to be here because our guest is amazing. They are a 29-year-old Australian who has founded multiple health and Airbnb businesses. In the last 3 years alone, he has increased his property portfolio by 37 properties. He's here to share how curiosity is needed in the entrepreneurial race. Please welcome our guest, Sanjay Parasher. Sanjay, thank you so much for being here.
Phil, thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be on the podcast and looking forward to sharing with you.
Sanjay, I gave you a small little introduction, something that we went over before we started recording. I would love for you just to give us a more wide-ranging introduction to who you are and what you do right now.
For sure. Well, thank you, Phil. It's felt like a fast but also a long journey so far. I started off as a professional cricketer. As I was growing up, I played sport at a very high level. And then, I had to make a decision at a key moment. I kept getting injuries, to really focus on my studies, and that's what I did. Graduated as a master in Podiatric medicine, which is podiatry, lower limbs and feet. As well as, I went on my own journey through business as soon as I graduated. And, mate, it's led us to a pretty expansive position. Curiosity has always sort of been on my mind since I first started, even in the sporting arena. And that's then led me to, starting up multiple businesses today, looking at property, investing in a property. And, whilst I'm still in my 20s, having that 80-year-old mindset to say, what would I do different when I was 20?
Oh, I love that mindset of thinking you're 80 and what would I do different in my younger years. That's a great mindset to have. And I love how such a young entrepreneur like yourself has shared that with us when I have season ones entrepreneurs not even sharing that piece of golden nugget. I'm going to definitely clip that and share it with the audience. So you were a professional cricketer, or at least a very high-level cricketer, which already is a confusing sport to non-European individuals and Australian people. But because of injuries, which is prevalent in most sports, you decide to focus on medicine and decide to go into a hard field as it is. So a hard sport, hard field. You do like challenges, apparently, and why not? It makes the person better. Why did you decide to start a business right after finishing getting your degree in that and not just go the normal route of working in a hospital or for someone else?
So it's a great question, to be honest. And a lot of people don't even actually ask me that. And the harsh reality was I couldn't get an interview. I was out there, applying. I applied for every job I saw online and talked to people. And I saw all my friends, they were getting, jobs even prior to finishing university. So imagine how I felt. I went all the way through the end, probably got 55% to 52% in every exam, just passed, and then came out and, just couldn't get an interview, couldn't even get a sit down. And, I went to my mother, who was a psychologist at the time, and she was located in some medical centers. And she said, look, I'm going to try and get you a start in a medical center, and then it's all up to you after that. You've got to do it on your own, and you'll be fine. So I went into a medical center, and my gift is connecting to people, and listening to people. And that gift was a blessing. I'll just listen to patients, connect with them, do something above and beyond for every single patient. Developed an amazing following. These people kept coming back, for all their treatment. And that just grew my business exponentially, where I just needed more people, because before I knew it, I was working 7 days a week and going from making $300 a week working at a gym cleaning toilets and even having a degree at that time. How disheartening this was.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I finished my double degree, and I was just used to be sitting there cleaning the toilets in the morning going, hey, I'm a doctor right now, and I'm literally cleaning someone's toilet.
Oh.
Crazy. And then, I started making, $1,000. That was my first goal a week, then 2,000, and then it continued from there.
And then from there, you obviously decide, hey, I'm going to jump to open multiple locations or multiple businesses in this, hiring more and more people. Where did the switch to real estate come in? Like, I know some doctors buy their own building and then have their own thing, or rent a building, but like, where did the real estate come in for you?
Well, my parents are avid investors, so they've got maybe 3 or 4. I'm not too sure actually how many properties they've got, but it's not exponential, right? It's just, if you work hard, you do well for yourself, and you buy a couple. So I was used to seeing that in our family, that real estate. If you had some spare money, you put it straight into real estate. And that's what I did. I think it was a year or maybe 2 years or year and a half. It was quite a slow start with the business. Obviously, sweat equity, a lot of time equity as well. Went into it. And then, I bought my first property. Probably wasn't the most ideal purchase compared to what I'd invest into now. But it got me off on my way. And then before I knew it, I went harder in the business and then bought a second one.
And that just fell down to where we are today, where you're multiple properties in the Airbnb and you multiple businesses. What is something you're looking to accomplish? Like, do you have what's the next goal for Sanjay?
Well, it's a good question as well. And I'm realizing that there's a lot of leverage and there's a lot of satisfaction that comes out of buying assets in real estate. And that's the harsh reality, Phil. When I sit down and I look at how many hours, blood, sweat and tears I put into a business, whether I'm doing the work or running teams or understanding people, which can be the hardest job ever, compared to really investing my time into real estate, understanding what I'm doing and putting that same effort into real estate. The results are far exponentially greater when you're working on an asset compared to, things or ideas or people or moments. And it's quite transactional, So if you're looking to build an asset and work on the asset compared to inside the asset, you save a lot more time and that's the same inside a business as well.
Well, so you're just looking to work more on the business, grow the businesses for the next couple of years. That's the plan of action.
Well, I think, Phil, now looking back at it as well, I've started maybe, 3 or 4, I think even 5 businesses. I've launched a software solution. We launch a lot of side businesses as well, which includes meals. So I've got a lot of different operations going, and I think my strength is that creativity, the implementation to bring something up as a startup. I've probably been involved with potentially 10 startups now. I've lost count. And if I told you how many entities I was part of, that would blow everyone's mind. So I think that's my strength, is creating, finding opportunities for individuals and to be able to assist people that need services, and then bringing that together. And then obviously my main strength is property. So that's where I want to focus. If I can start in my 20s instead of the standard age when everyone starts in their 40s, you can exponentially imagine the results in 20 years of property. Crazy.
It's crazy. If it goes on the current trend, it's going to go through the roof. my audience probably would want to know, like, how do you find the time to run all these multiple businesses, keep a social life? Because I'm pretty sure you look, as you were, we talked a bit earlier, you did look in shape. So obviously find time to go work out, eat properly, do all these things, like, and obviously tan, because you're looking great. Anybody who's listening to here, you're missing out for a feast of the eyes. I'm telling you now. Jump over to the video. But yeah, how do you find the time? Like, as you say, you run multiple properties. How do you find the time? How do you do that time management?
It's very hard, Phil, and it's a constant battle. I'm going to be completely transparent with you, and I'm a person that likes to be an operator, so I like to be in the weeds and know what's going on. And then I've had moments where I've completely pulled away, and I think challenging myself has been the way to do this. And what I did earlier this year was I completely moved away from where any of my businesses were located, and I literally manage everything from afar. So that means I'm forced to now get resources and put them on site. I'm forced to do it. Right, they've got no other option, and that's what happened with the Airbnb game as well. I was local to my first Airbnb, which I launched, and then I bought a property which was like 3 hours away, and that was my first one that I was going to give a go managing remotely. And then now I've moved away from all of them as well, so I literally can manage everything remotely, which is great. I think now the next challenge is to continuously acquire resources for different areas of the business and help me directly, because I'm still doing the 15, 16 hours a day. I'm always just switched on, and it's sometimes could be hard to be around because I'm so focused.
I can only imagine, but also it probably would be great when you have those friends who are in the like mind that can just talk business with you and have those great kind of masterminds, which I know are worth every cent,
Yes.
and the connections you make there, it's even better. And someone who's an ultimate connector like yourself probably just grabs every cent of value out of those masterminds you're probably a part of.
Well, I would like to add to that as well, if you don't mind. And I think ensuring who is in our environment is key for success. And a lot of people forget that. And they'll include people, or they'll want to be around people that they have an emotional connection with, which is great. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but just knowing that, taking on these people's emotions, or, their downs in life, or how they generally operate, that slowly infiltrates you over time. So, being definitive on who you want to surround yourself with slowly becomes you over time. And, if that's people that you aspire to be like, then great. Everyone should go out there and try and surround themselves with people like that, even though it might be hard. And even though you might feel uncomfortable, the things you'll pick up, the mannerisms, the general energy and vibration which you operate at, does become like these people over time.
I like that. It's great advice. Great advice. I wish I had that type of advice when I was younger, because it would help me and probably put me 10 steps ahead of where I am. But of course, we all have a path, and I was meant to cross this path so I could learn so much and meet Sanjay and have this great conversation with him about building a property portfolio, as well as building multiple businesses. When you expanded your business, when you decided to go from one medical business to a secondary medical business, was it in the same niche, or was it like in a completely different type of medical niche, we'll say? I know it was in the medical field, but was it like here's foot, over here it's brain, or was it foot and foot?
It was foot and then disability. So I found that, a lot of the disability population was struggling to find the necessary services. They were finding niche services hard to access, like footwear or orthotics, which help them walk and function more. And approaching them, I connect amazingly with, the disability population. I connect with them at an underlying level. I really understand them, come down to their level. And, having that strength and skill is important, because you can start to assess what their real needs are, and they can form a level of trust. And, that's what I was good at. And, to this day, we still have, people that we look after on a weekly basis, because they find there's so much value.
Makes sense. Someone who's going to go above and beyond for me, even if for anything I'll be returning. It's really funny. Had a gentleman earlier in a week for an interview, and he mentioned hey, it's that personal connection. When you make that connection, it's Neil Rogers. When you make that personal connection with your client, and you go above and beyond for them and you show them that care, they'll be with you forever and ever. And I love hearing it with you with building your second business.
I agree. And the personal connection also can come from the brand, right? And so the operator themselves, sometimes they're great at building personal connection, like myself. And potentially that might be my strength, and, I can do bigger and better things with that, that one skill on an impactful level as time progresses and as the scale compresses. However, the brand can also build a personal connection with the clientele or, whilst administering services or products. And it's how you position the brand and how the brand feels from the client journey. In any business, will start to provide the brand a standout point. And one thing I'd like to say is obviously the world's becoming commoditized. So what that means is, people are just competing on price rather not value. And if you can offer something completely different, which the market doesn't offer at an extremely low cost, or not even at a cost, it's just an added value, that's where the strength lies.
Ooh, I love that piece of advice too. Adding that just little extra that someone else doesn't have will bring up the value of what you're charging, what you're offering to the next level, and bring that personal connection too, because you're giving more than someone else is just giving the bare minimum. If you could provide maybe a piece of advice to a budding entrepreneur, either someone, a fellow doctor or a former doctor looking to start their own medical clinic business or something like that, or even an entrepreneur looking to start their investing portfolio in real estate, what advice would you have for anyone, or any piece of advice you'd like to give to the audience?
Sure. Well, I'd like everyone just to take a deep breath first and just relax for a nice second and find out, what are we naturally curious about, right? So say we're at work or in our field, what comes to your mind and what you're naturally curious about? What would you love to know more about? And that should be the first directional standpoint on what direction you move into, because that comes innately to you. And through the tough times, you will be able to maintain curiosity and continue moving forward, because there's a lot of pain, right? It doesn't matter if you work for someone. It doesn't matter if you start your own journey, right? It doesn't matter if you don't want to work at all, right? You're going to have pain in all different situations, and in all those situations, at two different levels for different durations as well. So understanding that you will incur pain, but what comes intrinsically to you and naturally to you on where you maintain curiosity is literally the key, because that will allow you to continue to develop knowledge, which then will allow you to provide that value in that industry.
Couldn't say it better than myself. Like, that's a great piece of advice for anybody. Like, I'm really wondering, are you actually 29 years old, or are you an ancient monk? But like you said, you think about when you were, your mind is 80, and what you would want to know when you're in 20s or you're in the 30s. So it makes sense that you have this knowledge and wisdom to share with us, because you're an 80-year-old in a 29-year-old body.
I honestly feel like it, Phil. It's crazy.
Well, the way you're telling and sharing your wisdom, it does seem that way. And now it kind of makes sense talking to you and how you're a great connector with people, and how you state that curiosity of just connecting with people. And it makes sense that the book that you would recommend entrepreneurs read is How to Win Friends and Influence People. What is it about that book? Because it's a classic book that really stands out for you, for entrepreneurs to take away from.
Look, that changed my life, that book. That's when I first started my business, and I started to obtain, some really chronic and very niche style of patients at that time, where I start to see them on a weekly basis. And implementing techniques which humanize conversations, which humanize interactions, was the key. And understanding someone else's point of view and speaking from their point of view. And very little cues, which that book dives into psychology, like saying your name, Phil. That sparks an emotion in your mind to, make us present, and finding subtle improvements that someone could have made, or subtle positives out of, someone's operation or what they present with, that is so unique to them, and mentioning that to them really touches people, because they know it's not generic, they know it's not cliche, and they really become present in conversations. And when you can make people present in conversations, when you can start to build that connection and build trust, and that's what that book teaches at a very, very fast rate, that's when you'll start to see results in every single conversation. And it doesn't relate to business. It could relate to family. It could relate to, how you interact with your environment around you. But that book teaches those key skills.
I love it. It's a great sell for the story. Like I'm already sold. I have a copy. I have actually the digital copy as well as a physical copy because it's such a great book, as well as the seven habits of highly effective people. I think I have all three. I have an audio book of that one too because it's just a spectacular book. Would you like to share maybe a win through your career, opening your multiple businesses that cemented why you do what you do, like cemented you in the point that like yes, curiosity and the love of what you do can keep you keep the light on, but like having that good win can keep you warm and gets you that push to go through the hard parts. Do you have a win that keeps you going?
That's honestly, probably the best question I've received in a while. Look, the win or a turning moment for me was I'm naturally not a manager. So I'm not a natural leader amongst people, face to face. That's not me. And the reason is because the expectations I place on myself, I can naturally place on the environment around me. So that's a weakness of mine. So a big win was when I could actually change the lives of other people, unintentionally or intentionally, and they started to realize that. And said, wow, my life's actually changed. One guy, this is the biggest win for me. One guy that he still currently works with us. He's been with us for 2.5 years. Prior to him working with us, he was literally living in a car. He was literally staying in a car. He was a doctor. He had graduated and he'd been let on multiple times. And then we brought him into the business, gave him a slow start. He just said, look, I'm just going to say yes to every opportunity, which is like me. I do not say no. And I'm like, this is great. So I can teach him everything. And, the way he is today, he's even the standard income, Aussie income for a podiatrist, he is now, let's just say 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 times in the standard Aussie income of a podiatrist all on his own. So that's a massive win to be able to change someone and give them the process transparently, Phil. I gave all my processes to another professional that can do the exact same skill as me, completely transparently, and said, hey, this is for yours to take as far as you want inside our business, and there is a risk that you can take it outside, but I'm going to give it to you. And it worked amazingly and changed a lot of people's lives. That
is an investment, if you will, in someone that not only changes one life, but it changes every single life of every person he meets. Because
Correct.
he's not only going from, like you said, from the car to 6 time and skewing the medium level of income for Aussie podiatrists across the country, which is, hey, if you can do it, do it. But he's also, like, each client he meets, that person may never had the service and the expertise that he has, and he has a risk to take it outside, but it benefits you because he's helping more people, which is obviously your goal of helping as many people as possible, making the world a better place. Sanjay, that would keep me warm. Hell, that's going to keep me going to find out if I can change someone's life to an extent that the eventual 10-fold, 20-fold, 100-fold for it. That's insane.
And I think it goes on further than, he now creates jobs internally because more people support him. And if you revert it back to me, I can only see one person at a time, but now we're seeing a lot more people at one time. So more patients get serviced. Mm-hmm. Right. On top of that, then those patients then talk about him or the business rather than just me. So it creates a lot of diversity and stability across multiple jobs, across the whole industry, across the patients. It's a beautiful thing. And the only thing I had to risk was just laying it out on the table and saying, this is how we do it. This is what we're going to do. It's daunting for some people that when they first start their own business to tell everyone everything exactly how to do it, and people can take it. And that's what happened in this situation, and it paid off. And we just continue to try and provide better value, even to our staff members, our internal team, where they can continue that process.
I love it. And you're doing great work. I can't wait to bring you back on 10 years from now or even next year and see how far along you are on your path to Awesomeness. We are coming up too near the end. I'm going to ask my final question. This is my favorite question. It's the spark question of the show. I snap my fingers. I have 10-year-old Sanjay right here beside me. Firecracker, if you will, of an individual. What's the single piece of advice you're giving 10-year-old Sanjay?
Keep going as hard as you can. Talk to as many people as you can. Understand as many things as you can. Keep being happy and try every single thing that you can.
I love it. Again, sticking with that point of curiosity, just getting to know everybody. Sanjay, I can't thank you enough. I'm going to jump off stage here for a second. I'm going to let you speak directly to my audience. Let them know where they can find you, follow you, anything you want. Heck, throw up where your Airbnbs are in Australia so people can come rent them out for you. But the floor, sir, is yours.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate everyone's time. If you want to find me, everything we provide is just for value. I don't sell any courses or do any seminars. And everything that I want to provide is complete transparency. So you can search me up on Instagram. It's the Parasher, Theparasher. We just launched Parasher Property as well, which is a very property-focused Instagram. That's also across TikTok as well, where you see absolute gems on how to get your property journey started, how to even first invest in your property, and how to obviously scale that business as well, and looking at property like a business. You can find me on LinkedIn, send me a message. We'll continue to collaborate and communicate. I really appreciate everyone's support. Thank you.
Sanjay, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story and telling everybody just to be curious. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you, Phil, for having me.
Guys, listeners, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, make sure you check out the show notes down below to follow Sanjay, check out his Instagram, check out his social media so that you can learn from him to take your property journey to the next level. And always remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.